Hello, Taurus. Thank you so much, as always, you guys, for being here. I hope all of you are doing well, and welcome to 2024. So, before I get started, I just want to remind everybody that I am reading from Taurus energy. It is up to you to decide where that energy is in your experience or within your birth chart. I tend to focus more on sun, moon, and rising, as I feel like those seem to be the most important and the ones that resonate the most. And also make sure that you are only taking what resonates, and remember that these messages are to help you to create the reality that you wish to see. So having said that, Taurus, this week you pulled free will, victim, and the child I was meant to be. This is very much a reminder that you get to choose whether or not you are a victim of your circumstances. For some of you, you may very well feel like your free will in a situation has been imposed on by another, which is why victim is saying that you're looking to the outside going, yeah, but this person did this. But you still ultimately hold your own free will and how you choose to perceive this situation. Just remember that you choose whether your circumstances dictate how you feel on the inside. And that is not how this works. Everything comes from within, right? So now the other part of free will talks about how it's kind of a sin to take away another's right to make their own decision. And because of victim, this is where I feel like some of you feel like your free will has been imposed on. But working with this card talks about reminding yourself of your own dreams and desires and the purpose that you are being asked to express. It talks about activating your ability to say yes and no without guilt and without fear, and that it is safe for you to express and act upon your own free will. Even though your outside circumstances may have been preventing you from doing that, now is the time for you to take your attention away from the outside thing that caused this problem in the first place. And with the child I was meant to be, this is where you finally get to be the person that you choose to be, not who others decide you are. And the other part of this too is going back and healing the wounds of the past. So for some of you, you may have been like stuck in this loop of looking at an outside situation or a person and going, they are the reason why I feel this way, which is 100% valid, but it keeps you trapped in this state of your outside world dictating how you feel and how you perceive things. So this is a reminder that you can let that go, that it is up to you to choose how you feel and how you perceive what is going on. But if somebody is preventing you from expressing yourself the way that you choose, then it's time to heal whatever has caused that to manifest so that you can freely be the person that you want to be, the person that you feel like you were meant to be. But I think that a lot of us get kind of stuck in that whole pointing to the outside. I know I've done that plenty of times, right? And not taking responsibility for what is active within me that created that situation in the first place. And it's really about healing that so that you're not in those situations anymore where you feel like your free will is being imposed on. Your overall, the hangman, so perspective, needing to see a different perspective, a situation that's being put on hold. This is like being in that state of limbo, but it's because of things not really going anywhere that you take an opportunity to gain a newer perspective, a higher perspective, right? So things may not be moving where you want them to. You may feel like a victim of outside circumstances, which absolutely is valid. But ultimately, right, like you can change your perspective on that. But there is a reason why right now things are in this state of like limbo. And I have to wonder if it isn't because something wasn't meant for you or that you're meant for something better. And that may be where, the perspective needs to change. So in the past, the King of Pentacles, right? Success. He is the king of success and maintaining success. He also knows what is worth taking a risk on. Now, if we're talking about a person from the past, there's different ways to look at this. So we'll see how this King of Pentacles is playing out here. But because we're in a state of limbo, it may be that a very specific person in your life is choosing to focus on more materialistic things, or they're more focused on, their material world, their career, their success. If this is you, you are bringing in knowledge and wisdom that is maintaining success in your life, which is great. But I because of the Hangman, I feel like you may be dealing with a situation with a specific person where things just aren't going anywhere, and you may be needing to kind of like gain a different perspective on, why somebody isn't wanting to move forward. But we'll see how he's playing out in this. In the present, Justice. So, here we're talking about things being corrected. Accountability kind of comes into play here. You may be looking for somebody to take accountability for their actions, but you may be starting to realize that this person may not be capable of doing that. And it may be because you're dealing with somebody who's more focused on their own needs. Now, for others of you, right, it's finally having a sense of balance in a situation, things being corrected. But I for some of you, I can't help but, because of the Hangman being the overall, kind of get this feeling of, things aren't moving forward because this person is not taking accountability. But right now, for some of you, you may feel like something needs to be balanced out or corrected in the present moment. And that may have to do with a specific person. Okay. So, future conditions, the Eight of Swords, and it's interesting to me because I'm looking at a situation being turned upside down for you, but your thoughts are still stuck on a certain perception. For others of you, you may feel like you're stuck in a situation where things just aren't, balancing out. Now, for others of you, this may be that, you're still stuck on certain thoughts that you're having a hard time, getting past when it comes to a certain person, a specific person. But I'm interested in seeing what's going on here, but you're still like trapped in both of these. It's like you're covering your vision. And I don't feel like that's the reason why things are being put on hold. I think that has to do with something that's outside of you, because the King of Pentacles, whether or not we're talking about a person, the kings are what is being projected outward. So this may be a situation where it's going to be hard for you to kind of like finally see that things are not going to move forward or move into a certain direction. It's almost like needing to accept that. And I still kind of go back to this feeling of somebody like not having the ability to make amends. And you realizing that there's nothing you can do to make that person see that. And then that's only going to be for some of you. But, even if you're in a situation where, like, let's say we're dealing with a legal situation being justice, right? We're still talking about the situation being corrected, things being balanced out, karma being served, so to speak. But you're still stuck in certain thoughts that are just putting everything on hold for you. But the hope here with this being the overall is that this is what needs to happen in order for your perspective to change. But again, we'll see how justice is tied into what's going on. Your best path to follow, the King of Cups. So we're talking about emotional maturity here. And it may be that, some of you need to move back into a place where you're more confident in your emotions and how they affect you. And that's only going to be for some of you. For others of you, this is like needing to see if someone is, really understanding how you feel, and if they're really coming from a place of emotional maturity. Like, I feel like that's what you need to look for in your outside world. And then for others of you, if you still feel stuck mentally, it may be that instead of getting so caught up in, the thoughts that are going on that are blocking you from seeing any progress in, what you are wanting to create here, it's go back to a place where you're comfortable with your own emotions and how other people have affected those emotions. Like, I feel like your emotional maturity and stability is what needs to be focused on here, even though you may be dealing with a situation where, people or situations are not taking accountability for how they have affected, you and what is going on for you. But if, again, like and this is only going to be for those of you who are dealing with a specific person. I feel like you're trapping yourself in this idea that they're going to fix or be accountable for what they have done wrong. But this is interesting to me because you're coming in with this King of Pentacles, but your advice is the King of Cups. So not focusing on what you're seeing on the outside in the material and how, that translates into, how you see success, right? But more so needing to focus on the emotions that are surrounding this. Emotional availability, too, maybe something that you need to be looking for within a person rather than, what's going on with the material. Because if you're dealing with somebody who is materialistic and selfish, they are not going to see the error of their ways. And you may be stuck in this thinking that that is what they're going to do. But, if they're not emotionally available to you, to how they affect you, then that's where the perspective, I think, may need to change. And again, that's only going to be for those of you who are dealing with a specific person. In your environment, the Nine of Cups. So, and Aries had this in the same place. This is you finally getting what you have been wanting. But if you've been getting what you are wanting in the present, then you wouldn't be stuck in the same kind of mental loop and not really seeing things for what they are. Because I feel like you really need to pay attention to the emotional availability of a person rather than, what they have in the material. Like, I keep going back to that feeling. But we're talking about wish fulfillment here. But, what do you want? What are you wanting out of this situation? Some of you may be looking for things to be corrected, but you're still, like, not seeing it. And for some of you, your perspective may be that it's just not ever going to be. And I almost feel like there needs to be an acceptance of that. But I think that emotional availability in a person is where, your focus needs to be, where the perception needs to be. And it's frustrating because this looks like things are corrected, things are balanced out. I feel like I have what I want and I'm happy with it. But we're still stuck. Now, you may be dealing with a person who just cannot see any perspective outside of their own. But there's this I got what I wanted out of this, but why am I not seeing what I expected? And that may be because there is a lack of emotional availability within the person that you're dealing with. But in your environment right now, there's this focus on things need to be corrected. I deserve to have what I want. I deserve to have that emotional fulfillment. That's what I feel like here. But if you're looking toward another person to, bring that to you, obviously that's not going to happen, right? They will always fail at that. Your hopes and your fears, the sun, right? So wanting to have a renewal in this situation, having clarity, having new energy brought in, then the sun is a beautiful place to be in. But attach that energy toward you. Don't attach it toward, an expectation of somebody else bringing the sun out for you, right? But having, a new experience, I think, is really what you're hoping for here in not being blocked, not having that blocked. I just need the sun to come out. I just need for there to be, a change in the situation where things are fair and balanced out. That's what I'm wanting here. I'm wanting this. But you have to find, this kind of energy within you. And for some of you, it may be that you're tired of being stuck with this whole situation. You want to be done with it. Things may not be progressing in a certain direction. And it may be that you need to stop focusing on whatever is going on here and start looking at what is going on with you emotionally. But I can't help but go back to this narrative of emotional availability within a person that you're dealing with and whether or not that's actually there. Now, for others of you, it may be that you don't have emotional availability for anybody else right now because of going through a difficult situation where things need to be corrected, and then you feeling like you have your fulfillment from that. But there's still this block. But it all has to do with your perception, right? And then coming out the Three of Pentacles, that's not bad. This is where I feel like if you're talking about a specific person in this reading, this is leading to a place where things may be stagnant at the moment. But if you're able to open up your vision to what new energy within the situation would look like, then, it's about putting in the effort, but you not being the only one doing the work. They have to be working with you. You may also be in a place where you don't see how things are going to work out any other way than, what you are expecting. But I getting this message of dealing with a person who is not meeting you where you're at, which seems to be a big thing this week. But I'm wondering if you're not looking at this thinking, I just don't see them wanting to put in the effort anymore. Or maybe it's you that doesn't want to do that anymore. But with the Three of Pentacles, how are you working together with this person to, create this new energy, create this wish fulfillment and this fairness and balance, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. So, Ten of Swords, right? And again, we're talking about a difficult situation that has come to an end, where it's time now to get past the pain of what has taken place. But I'm also looking at this and wondering how it's affecting, your perception on how things are going to work out in the future. Some of you may be dealing with, a separation or divorce. I mean, we're not really looking at the Three of Swords here. It's not about how it's hurt you. It's more about the fact that it was painful to go through and it's finally over. But you're still stuck in a way of thinking where that perception is going to have to change before you even think about putting in any effort into, getting a more meaningful connection with the specific person that you may be focused on. But the painful ending, you have that connected to the King of Pentacles, which means that there was potential for success, but it could also just straight up you done with the pain of dealing with somebody who is very self-centered or self-focused, or isn't, willing to help create success within the connection with you. And looking at the Knight of Wands, we're talking about this in and out. It's just about the experience and the excitement of the experience. There isn't any kind of plan for longevity. This is just kind of like by the seat of your pants, kind of, going through things. But that you may be realizing that wasn't what you wanted. Because I'm looking at this in connection to the Nine of Cups, and we're talking about things being fair and balanced and you feeling like you have what you want. But if you were expecting, somebody to be there for the long haul, clearly here with the Knight of Wands, this is what we're wanting to correct, especially if you're dealing with a person who has either cheated on you or, has done something very painful to cause the ending of what used to be. Like, I feel like your perception of it, if we're talking about a specific person, is that there was every opportunity for them to have a very successful, relationship with you. And this may be what you are looking at trying to work on, but just looking at this, like, I feel like there's this difficulty going on between these two people. And there may be some things that are not resolved. And that may be keeping the situation kind of like stuck, where we're having to work on the fact that there was, this painful ending of how things could have been. And it has to do with this kind of like in and out type of energy with the Knight of Wands, right? And then you have the Lovers, where we're talking about, the union, very significant relationship. And I don't know that you trust that this person isn't going to be tempted by other things. And again, that's only going to be for some of you. It really depends on how you're looking at the specific person right now. But if there is equal work being put into the relationship, it could create a better connection. But if you aren't seeing that within them or within yourself, this may be, where you need to look at where you have made decisions based on, this feeling of, but things can work out, Like, I kind of feel like this back and forth with somebody who just keeps continuing to take the same actions that they have before. And it's all about you putting everything on hold right now so that you can see things from a different perspective, where you're not blocked in this loop of thinking or constantly going over the pain that's been suffered, but needing to look at where the emotional availability in putting in the effort is, if that makes sense. I really am starting to feel like for a lot of us, 2024 is going to be that year where we're not lying to ourselves anymore. And it's time to definitely see where there are things that are not fitting into the reality that we wish to see, that we know now we need to get rid of. The only thing that you are in control of is you, and how you are perceiving things and how you are feeling. And unfortunately, sometimes we get caught up in this feeling of maybe they will come around, maybe they will finally see what they have done and how it's affected me, maybe they will stop acting in this way. But there is nothing that you can do to change that within another person, right? Ooh, transformation. Guidance, and then be open. So this situation is going to cause a transformation within you, but you need to be open to the guidance of the I am, the God creator within you. Be open to that guidance that is coming through, even though, you know, what happened may not have been what you wanted. Right? Like, maybe this is the opportunity to listen to that higher God self telling you that, you know, if there's no emotional availability, maybe you are just, you know, beating a dead horse, so to speak, like continuously thinking that we just keep putting in the work, putting in the work, putting in the work. There is no work that you can do that is going to change somebody else's behaviors, right? But the transformation that happens because of this is going to give you a direct connection to your God self guidance, right? So be open to that, and be open to what your higher self knows to be true about you, what you desire, what you wish to see. And be careful about the effort that you're putting into relationships where you're being denied emotional availability, or, you know, emotional understanding of how their actions have affected you, right? Like, just get rid of that thought completely. You know, nothing that you do is ever going to get another person to see how they have affected you. You can voice that and speak that, but how they perceive things is not something that you can control. And if you feel like you have been working and working and working on this, wanting things to be fair and balanced with a specific person, but they just keep doing the same things over and over again and they're not consistent, then stop doing that to yourself, right? Emotional availability. Like, just make sure you keep that in the back of your mind with whatever specific person you're dealing with. Faraway places, get ready for new horizons, which is probably something that you need. And maybe for some of you, it's just realizing that the effort that you've been putting in is something that, you know, painfully did not work out the way you wanted it to, but it's over with. And maybe it's time for you to take different adventures in really making choices that are true to what your heart wants and what you really want to see within a relationship, within a marriage, whatever the case may be. And then stepping into power. You are strong beyond measure. You are God. You are God. You create your world. Ignore the 3D because it doesn't matter. It is a projection of past thoughts and actions. It does not get to dictate what you create in the future. But I love that. I love that you are stepping into your own power to create the things that you wish to see. But by doing that, looking at faraway places, it may take you into situations that you may never have, thought that was available to you. I'm telling you, there is something about this year that just feels like everybody is going to go within, and they're finally going to realize that they are so powerful. They didn't recognize it. They're claiming what they have created, and now we're making different choices, which is beautiful to see. I like this reading, but make sure that the energy that you are working with is to create something happier for you, where there is joy and no more of this having to deal with, painful situations that don't work out the way that you want them to.